What's up, Nitro Gang? In this video, we're going to be doing a little bit of learning and taking a look back at 20 years of Nitro history. I have a 20-year-old radio control car action magazine and a 20-year-old new in box, never ran, never even had a glow plug in it, Megatech racing motor. More about this in a little bit. Let me give you a little bit of an update on my Savage XL K5.9 speed run. I had high success. We got 46 miles an hour top speed with the carb restrictor removed. Whoa! That was perfect engagement right there. But we gotta hit at least 50. Not only do I have brand new 30% nitro fuel coming in the mail tomorrow, but a great member of the Nitro Gang also told me about the third gear high speed upgrade for the Savage XL. So at this point, we could either get the third gear high speed upgrade optional gearing set from Hpi, which unfortunately sold out everywhere I checked. But thanks for the information. The other option we can do is put in a larger clutch bell. The factory clutch bell on the Savage XL is 16 teeth. They do make an 18 tooth one. I think getting an 18 tooth one and running 30% nitro might make my Savage the fastest stock Savage ever on the planet Earth itself for now. Hopefully we can hit maybe 55 to 60 with the optional clutch bell, which I am trying to source at this moment right now. Thanks so much for that comment. I read all the comments from the Nitro Gang and I do my best to respond. Lately I haven't responded to everybody, but I want you guys to know that I do read all of them. And I give you all a like and a heart if I actually agree with it. So there you go. You see these magazines? There's a lot more where this came from. For this video, I am going to be taking a look at this July 2000 issue of Radio Control Car Action magazine. The reason is, it has something to do with this new in-box engine. Let's go through it page by page. I might skip a couple pages in the video editing process, you know, if I have nothing interesting to say, but hopefully we get to look at every single page in this. This is the best of the year issue. In my opinion, probably the best one to look at. And that's the reason I'm wearing gloves right now. I don't want to get any of the oils from my hands onto this vintage 20-year-old piece of paper here. Maybe 20 years from now, you know, if we survive this coronavirus situation, we might want to take a look at this again. I think that's a good idea. Let's go page by page, guys. It opens up to an ad for a Tamiya TB01 tub chassis. These things are actually pretty cool, used in, you know, like stock racing setups. We have a bunch of these Trinity Speed Gems modified motors. The bottom of the barrel one here is 49 bucks, 19 turn double. The top of the range is a 9 turn double. So the lower turns you have, the more RPM you have. There's a lot of other science and stuff here, but this is basically, you know, the generic explanation. Let's keep going. Otherwise, this is going to take forever. Right here, you're looking at the man. So this guy is the man. He is Adam Drake. There's whole, you know, RC cars, packages named after this dude. He's achieved so many wins with the Team Losi XXXNT. Check this out. The Losi took basically, you know, the top 3 places here running Trinity fuel. What I notice here, check out this fuel. Trinity Monster Horsepower, 35% nitro. So if you guys thought 30% nitro that I'm going to be running in my Savage XL is a lot, this is 35%. I don't even see this stuff on the market anymore. Maybe some specialty nitro stores, I don't know, but this is like high-end stuff. Let's keep going. Here we have an ad for a bunch of protoform bodies. These are very good aerodynamic bodies. I think my favorite one here is this Honda Accord, only because, you know, as I grew up, these cars were new. I still remember them on the roads. The Dodge Stratus, you know, total crap. Mercedes-Benz CLK, can't afford that. Ford Focus, don't care. The Ford Mondeo, which is really like a Ford Contour here in America. It's okay unless you had, you know, the SVT, it wasn't that cool. Yep, we got some Trinity racing team going on here. I'm not too particularly into these people as, you know, racers in general. I'm not a racer. I'm more or less a person that appreciates the technology of RC. And but these guys, you know, of course, they've delivered a lot of race-winning designs into, you know, RTRs that we have eventually purchased. So we owe them something, more or less. More electric motors. Where's the nitro stuff at? I'm going to skip this, or else it's going to take forever. This is actually a cool ad. I was reading this earlier. It says, going nitro? Go big time. It's 1/8, almost twice the ground clearance of a 1/10 scale. Well, that's kind of obvious, you know. What's interesting is right here. Push start electric start. No more pull cords, costly starter boxes, or electric starters. Just engage the starter assembly, flick the switch, and blast. So it seems like they're saying that we have an electronic push-button start system, not unlike, I think, what, you know, Traxxas had at the time. But MRC, I never had one of these. I've never seen one in real life. Any of you guys know anything about these RCs? You know, put in the comments. This kind of thing seems like a pretty cool thing. I like it. It says extreme speed, 3 to 4 times the power of 1/10 scale trucks. So I don't know how you're getting 3 to 4 times the power of a 1/10 scale truck with a .21 engine, which is what it says it has. But hey, that's all right. You know, that's kind of misleading advertising, I think, back in the day. Oh yeah, some Hpi Kits. I remember this is like the time when I first started out in the RC hobby. This is what the hobby stores were selling, guys. So we go from the Hpi Sport to an electric chassis, Nitro Rs4 to an incredible, you know, legendary 10 scale chassis, the Nitro MT. I actually have 2 of these. I love them. I have an electric Rs4 MT. I also kind of like it. I wish I had the Rs4 Rally, but I don't. The Hpi Proceed. So this is the direct competitor to the Serpents series that I've recently done videos on. This is an 8 scale, you know, on-road pan kit that you have to build. Right here, guys, I don't know if any of you know, but there used to be an Hpi Nitro Rs4 Mini, and I did used to have it with the same exact Civic body. This thing was actually kind of incredible. The Nitro Mini segment is basically dead now. I think only Exceed sells them, and I've seen 16 scale Exceed Nitros. They're just not popular. But this thing ran so great. I really, really loved it. But it's really all about the Hpi Super Nitro. Let's face it, the Super Nitro is king. And I know one of my YouTube viewers and friends, Mike the Butcher, he is the Hpi Super Nitro RS4 king. He's going to appreciate this little look and comment about the Super Nitro RS4. You know, my dude? Off in a racing buggy. I got nothing really to say about that. It's an 8 scale buggy. They're basically all similar. Some reading. We have some ads here for Novak, one of the coolest electronics companies. I know my friend and YouTube viewer, Filthy Co RC, he knows the entire history of Novak. Unfortunately, they are no longer made in USA at all or anywhere around the world. They're discontinued. But you know what this is? This is a power supply. So years ago, for some reason, like chargers oftentimes did not include the built-in power supply. Today, that's like a thing of the past. The power supply and plug is always built in. But years ago, you had to supply your own external power supply. It's pretty much a hassle back then. Okay, got nothing to say about this. What is this? A Kyosho Ultima. They have a nitro version, an electric version. These are pretty cool, but I think based on like the time frame that this magazine was already out, 2000, the Kyosho Ultima series was like really, really outdated at this time. Basically, you know, as the British like to say, it's long in the tooth. I don't know what that phrase has to do with anything, but it's long in the tooth, as they say. This is another Kyosho. I don't really have much to say about Kyoshos, to be honest with you. They've also been a little bit expensive over the years, and I just really never had one. But I do want to commend Kyosho for still selling Nitro RCs. Tower Hobbies still has Kyosho Nitros, and I think out of any brand that you can get brand new other than, let's say, Red Cat, you know, and Traxxas, Kyosho still kicking it with a Nitro RC. I was looking to get the Kyosho Nitro Tracker. It's a pretty cool 10 scale stadium truck, you know, 2-speed forward, 2-speed reverse, small block engine, $350. I think it's a good price point for that. Here we go. Got some gears. We're not going to talk about this, otherwise we'll never get through this magazine. Here we go. Duratrax Nitro Street Force. I always had a thing for Duratrax because, you know, they're a budget RC and they always had pretty good hop-ups. Now, unfortunately, you know, they don't produce them anymore and they were not the best at anything. They more or less just cloned other RCs, the Duratrax Warhead, the RTX 27. Those were more or less clones of the Savage. I had them and they were fantastic. They were much cheaper than, you know, obviously the HPIs of the time. I have nothing against cloning RCs. You know, if you do a good job and you're getting the product to the customer, to the consumer, and then we're all having fun, there it is. There's nothing wrong with that. Another RC Nitro touring car to top 50, Duratrax Nitro Street 4. So this thing had a 2-speed, an aluminum tuned pipe, an okay motor. It wasn't bad. It was, I think the price point at that time was like $299, which was on par with a base HPI Nitro Rs4. But this thing already had all the upgrades that you would eventually wind up getting for the HPI. Here's a closer look at the Duratrax Street Force. You could tell it's pretty well built from this top-down view. It more or less mirrors the Nitro Rs4 2 layout, you know, the way the engine is mounted, the 2-speed transmission here in the back, the pipe coming out the side. I mean, you really can't really go anywhere crazy with, you know, a 10-scale touring car. This is what you're going to get. 50 miles per hour, that is a bold claim. And I think this thing could have actually done it. And we have some software from Duratrax. This is what they used to call Real Race Professional RC Car Simulator. So back in the days of Windows XP, Windows 2000, it was a common thing for people to actually train to drive their RC on their computer, believe it or not. Yeah, it was a thing. It was more common with flight simulators, but this is also pretty interesting. If I still had an old Windows PC, I might actually pick one of these up and give it a good review. I watch a lot of the older computer TV shows on YouTube, and it's pretty interesting stuff. Team Associated RC10 GT, you know, pretty much a beast right here. I'm restoring one currently, a slightly older model than this. Here we go. This is a Thunder Tiger. Guys, I love Thunder Tiger. You might have seen my Thunder Tiger Tomahawk restoration videos. Those things are a beast. This is the older version, the TS4N. I know some of my viewers out there have this because I, you know, chatted with you in comments previously. So this one's for you, the Thunder Tiger TS4N. I never had one. Maybe I will pick one up. The main difference between this and the newer versions of the Thunder Tiger Tomahawk is these are belt drive cars. Some OFNA stuff. Right here is the pit tips. I learned so much here, guys. It's not even funny. So this tip right here, it's called the glitch stopper. I used this years ago. So what happens is when you have your servo set up and the throttle linkages and the brake linkages, you know, you have a lot of metal to metal kind of connections with a brake cam. And on an AM radio, metal to metal causes glitches. So what they recommend here is you put a piece of some kind of liner from a coffee stirrer, and this will prevent the metal to metal, you know, contacting each other. This is honestly a terrific idea. On modern 2.4 gigahertz radios, this really is a non-issue. But back in the days of AM, if you had a glitch, oh man, your RC is hitting the curb. I'm sure some of you might know that already. We have some OFNA 10th scale RCs and of course their famous 8th scale Nitro buggies. Some more pit tips. The Tamiya Juggernaut 2. I never had one of these. I think these are like pretty expensive for what they are for electrics. I really love the Nitro Tamiyas, to be honest with you, but you know, of course, these have a place in history as well. Some Robinson Racing gears, the best upgrades in terms of gears and pulleys you could have gotten, and you still can today. All right, let's get to the good stuff. Here we go, the good stuff, guys. This is probably my favorite HPI 10 scale body, this Saline Mustang. I love the color scheme. I love literally everything about it. The chassis, you know, this is a RS4 2. The engine in these were pretty good, very easy to tune. The reason is they had only the high-speed needle adjustment, so you could not adjust the low-speed needle here at all. These were like beginner engines. They were not ABC engines. More about that later. But look at the design of this Saline Mustang. I mean, this thing, you know, I love it. It's one of my favorite body styles to this day. Alloy wheels. So people years ago used to get these 10 scale alloy wheels. Of course, your first pothole somewhere, you know, it would bend instantly. So that was pretty much a bad idea to begin with. The Mugen Mbx 4, you know, pretty high-end kit. It says list price $799. I recently had one of these on my channel. It was a newer MBX 5R, I think, or 8, whatever it was. It was a newer one than this. This particular buggy right here is a Mugen Mbx 5R. This has already been on my channel. The last speed run, we got 55 miles an hour out of this bad boy, which is honestly pretty incredible. Oh man, that was fast. And these things are still around. Mugen is a great race brand. They've dominated racing for years. Here we go. I'm not going to discuss much about it because it's pretty much obvious. It's an 8th scale chassis here. Kyosho electrics. We're just going to pass it. Don't know much about this. The Ultima Pirate 10. There were a lot of versions of these Ultima Pirates. There was a Monster Pirate. There was a Pirate 10. I'm not even sure what else there were. But, you know, this is like a regular 10th scale kind of buggy style chassis, single speed. There were models with big block engines. This is not one of them. They call this the fast .12 engine, guys. I mean, is that an oxymoron or what? I still like the way it looks. I would get one if I can get one in good condition these days, but there's really nothing that exciting. It's like a 10th scale, you know, fake stadium truck buggy, you know, trying to be a monster truck chassis. It's cool for what it is, but that's all there is to it. Sen. Here we go, guys. Sen. Look at this ad. I mean, could they stuff any more, you know, information and colors and upgrades and hop-ups on this page? This is like the early intro levels of Sen, back when they really emphasized different bodies, different upgrades, and this is where they made their money. There's nothing wrong with this kind of stuff. You know, if you wanted to mod your stuff, you could. I personally liked Sen just because they're weird. They had weird names like Fun Factor and other things. Maybe we'll see a couple here in the, you know, as we go through it. But yeah, it's all right. Sen is a nitro car. I know there are really fast models they made eventually. These are not some of them. But yeah, I like Sen as a brand. It's cool. Let's keep going. This is GS Racing Sonic Super R. It's a direct competitor of the Hpi Proceed and the Serpents. You know, they all have these rear fat wheels, big block engines, belt drives, you know, fat foam tires. Boom, there you go. Too expensive and a kit usually. Oh yeah, Hpi Nitro MT. I have 2 of these guys. I hit 50 miles per hour with a single speed Nitro MT, you know, previously. I love these things. These things were fantastic. What's interesting is it says list price $499, but street price $299. I remember these being like $350 years ago when they came out. And, you know, these were good RCs. They were very good. At that time, you know, nitro stadium trucks were dominating and they were very popular. These tires are actual pro line tires. So these are very good. What's interesting is, and I want to point this out, right over here, they talk about the engine. So I'm going to put this right here for now. This box says True ABC Construction, True Chrome ABC Piston Sleeve Technology. Right here they write a Polestar Nitro Star FE with a single needle rotary carb. The piston and sleeve feature ABN construction, aluminum piston nickel plated brass sleeve. Not as nice as a chrome sleeve, but certainly acceptable. So they're already making a distinction between ABN and ABC technology. This 20-year-old Megatech engine was already an ABC motor. What that means is basically a sleeve, you know, plating system, and ABC just lasts much longer. ABN, the N is the nickel plated sleeve. It does not last. It's a softer material, and generally after about, you know, 2 gallons of nitro fuel, you consider your compression, you know, gone. It's gone. The ABC style motors could last, you know, up to 8 gallons, generally with simple maintenance, no problem. So this is it. And I could say ABN engines, yeah, about 2 gallons of my experience. It was pretty much you could call it a day. Let's keep going. Some exhaust couplers. Yokomo. These look like electrics. I'm not even going to really talk about them right now. Here we go. TC3 factory team options, which means, you know, overpriced expensive aluminum. But you know what? You pay for what you get when you get factory, team. Crossfire Force. This is F1 RC. I don't know anything about this. It looks like a cheap RC. This is a $229 street price. And yeah, it's basically just like an F1 style RC, you know, with basic electric motors. These were slow. There's nothing really exciting about it. Megatech, I love these things. I had a Megatech M16 years ago, and it was a beast. It was rated at 1 horsepower at that time. You got to realize 1 horsepower was a lot for a .16 motor, considering the OS 15 CV had like 0.54 horsepower. These things were cool at the time. I used to go to the Megatech factory store in Manhattan, New York City, and these things were just so cool. They were behind shelves. I loved them. They were a little bit expensive and I would say overpriced, but you got a lot of features and a lot of power and speed compared to basic HPI at that time. But of course, I was a kid back then, and this was just a little bit too much money for me. This is Tamiya's first Nitro truck, the Tamiya Mad Bison. You could still get these new on eBay. I've seen some new in-box ones, I think never even built. I know one of my viewers one time told me he has one of these that he never assembled. These are collector items nowadays. Reader's Choice Awards. We have the Buggy Team Losi XXX. Of course, they basically win everything. Associated RC10 T3, Stadium Truck, Associated TC3, and the Proline Dirt Hog 2 tires, as I said, which are remarkable. Very good tires. We have some motors. We're not going to talk about that because you can't get this stuff anymore. Engine Trinity Pico, pretty high-end motors. Number 2 is the OS Engine CV line. Yeah, obviously I can't, say anything bad about that. We're not going to talk about these electronic speed controllers because you can't get them anymore, and pretty much no one knows anything about that. I'm going to skip a lot of this electric stuff because it's pretty much outdated. Here's some interesting stuff about the specs of the OS engines and why I wanted to talk about the specs of this old vintage 20-year-old motor. So this might be a .16, and you know what? I'm going to open this up at this point because it's been long enough. I will be doing a full video on this probably in the future. I'm not pulling the pull start now because this thing does not have any oil in it whatsoever. The carb barrel does move, but there is some resistance. This hasn't even had WD-40 or afterrun in it ever. So the piston, it's definitely not going to move. I'm not going to move it right now, but it is like new. What I want to point out is the spec of power on this motor. So the box, right? Look at the box, guys. 0.74 horsepower. 0.74. This OS 15 CV has 0.68. This means this engine is a little bit better than the OS CV series. Now CV, there were higher models called the CVR. The CVR would kill this one, of course. But, in terms of price, look at this price. $79 on this box. So, yeah, this was pretty cool at the time. I mean, this would have been a good upgrade motor for any of the stock HPI 15FE engines, even some of the off-the Force 12 engines, which were like a disaster. I like this thing. They call this the drive washer, by the way, in the front, and I read what this does. I've been looking at what this is for quite some time, and I never really had a good answer. Apparently, this keeps a lot of the dirt from getting into these bearings in the front. Really interesting idea. I don't see this commonly used anymore, but if you notice, the OS engines, they have the same exact setup. They have the drive washer in the front, so this would be a direct drop-in for pretty much any of these, lower-end RCs. Pretty cool stuff here. Let's keep moving. Nothing to say here. An 8-scale buggy. I'm not going to talk about it. Pretty much, a lot of aluminum, cool clutches. They got, aluminum parts. Boom, bomb. There you go. Megatech SH engines. SH still makes really, really good motors these days. They are like the bottom of the barrel in terms of pricing. Let me give you the specs of this one right here. This is an SH .15 3-port rear exhaust, and it's rated at 0.95 horsepower. This is insane for a .15 size engine. This is a lot of power, guys. Let's see what this is. This is what they call a boost port. Now, it really doesn't do anything. The goal of this little boost port, people used to drill into the crankcase here on the side, and this would more or less just equalize the pressure, and I guess the theory was you can get more fuel in it or kind of vaporize the air-fuel mixture a little bit better. I'm not sure whether it actually did anything. I think more oftentimes than not, it created a vacuum leak in the engines because people just didn't, tap the holes correctly for the fittings they were using. Megatech was cool. They had a lot of cool motors. They had cool RCs. Their engines made power. There's really no denying that. Look at this, SH.21 7-port. Let's keep going. Kyosho. Some parts, not going to talk about this. Typical radios of the time, the AM style radio. These were included with every single HPI. The brand Blazer, just a brand. These were actually Airtronics radios. And they're actually pretty good performers. I like the hand feel in them. I still run them in some of my older RCs. I usually like to keep the radios that came with stuff because that gives you a good period feel. We have a highly modified Hpi Nitro Rs4 right over here. Traxxas 4Tech, no extra cost, no painting required. So at this time, Traxxas was making, I would say, good RCs. They were never terrible, but, they were pretty much, to me at the time, kind of like funny looking in terms of their bodies. They never had direct copies or licensed bodies just like HPI, but they still were quick. They were, doing their job, and people bought them. They were popular. Let's keep going. Some race stuff right here. We have Trinity. These are the two-wheel drive stadium trucks. First place, first win for the Triple XT. Yep, the XT was pretty much killing it years ago. And yeah, I have one. Obviously, you guys have seen this in my channel probably many, many times. This is the RC where I cooked an egg and then ate it from this coolant head. This is the OSCV engine, classic. Man, before you know it, I'm going to be eating the glow plug. Here it goes. It's actually cooked pretty well in there. Let's see if I can get a couple more. This is like better than the McDonald's Egg White Delight, whatever the hell they sell, Really, most of the egg is thoroughly cooked. Not the Adam Drake edition, but yeah, this thing was cool. Look at that. It says graphite on it. And this was the RTR model. But still, this thing is like a 20-year-old beast. It's quick. I like it. Unfortunately, I do not have the body. But this old engine, you could cook eggs in it, you could eat it, and it'll still run. No big deal. It's kind of remarkable, right? Serpents. These are Serpent Vector series. I had the Vector NT on my channel. Remarkable on-road RC. Check out my videos. I have a couple of these. Tower Hobbies ads. I still love looking at the old Tower Hobbies catalogs, guys, but these little excerpts in the magazines were also kind of cool. Right, so I made a mistake earlier. Here's a Duratrax Street Force, and it is $279. Really, really good value for a ready-to-run, RC that could hit 50 miles per hour with a 2-speed. The Traxxas T-maxx at that time was $379. Not a bad deal, actually. So yeah, not bad at all. The ultimate combo would have been $429. Would have came with like a charger and batteries. I'm quite sure they call it field equipment. Let's keep moving. I'm not going to go through all of this because it'll take forever. Oh no, well I have to mention some of it, right? I mean, I just have to. The HPI Nitro MT, right? As I said before, $279, right? So it's actually cheaper on Tower Hobbies. I remember my hobby stores charging like $350 for it. But yeah, there it is. Online shopping, there's always a reason why, right? Some custom built RC. I'm not going to talk about this at all because these custom things, like you could stuff a Ferrari engine into an RC if you wanted to. There's no point, but you could if you wanted to. It's like one of those things that doesn't mean anything. That's not how those cars were intended to be used. That's particularly why I stick to stock. I like the factory experience on RC, and to me that's where all the collectability and interest actually is. We have a Huddy setup board, so people used to I guess check their chassis tweaks and tuning, everything on a board like this for weight distribution. For racing, this was crucial. For regular guys, this was pretty much useless. Don't know what this is. Some more. Oh yeah, Megatech NEO. So this engine is the one that would have been included if you got the Megatech NEO with the engine. These were, sold as with engine and without engine. This was Megatech's racing division from what I understand, and I couldn't really find any more information about the NEO Racing series online anywhere. I searched for quite some time. This is probably one of the only times I've seen Megatech mention their NEO Racing series, and how lucky am I to actually have an original, new engine from something that is so rare. I mean, I'm lucky, guys. And I only paid $35 for this. I don't know if I said that before, but yeah, just a random buy on eBay. I was just, eBay cruising, some would say, and boom, there you go, popped up. I don't have plans to run that engine anywhere. It's just kind of like a collection item for now. I have one of these MIP tweak stations. Let's keep going. Here is a very interesting article. I was reading this before. This is talking about from the deafening days of open exhaust. Nitro RCs years ago used to not really have exhaust. They were more or less just open like this. I think this is derived from planes. I know the Bug 404, one of my friends and YouTube viewers, and he has a channel as well. Check him out, guys. He has a lot of vintage airplane engines, including diesel engines, guys. Back then, airplane engines didn't have exhausts. And these nitro motors that we use in land RC today are actually derived from planes. So exhaust were, pretty much like baffles. Some of them were rotary. Some of them, I'm not going to read this because this is, going to get too long, but just know it. This is some pretty cool evolution of nitro stuff right here. Some gears, wheels, ads, store more hobbies. Man, I used to love looking at these prices of things back in the day and see, who's cheaper, where could I get something. This was kind of cool, man. Tamiya TL01, $68, four-wheel drive kit. Great price, great price. Today, bodies alone like $35 to $40. Yokomo GT4. I have talked about this so many times on my channel, and I need one, guys. I need one. Before the end is near, I'm going to get one of these on my channel. This was like a pretty competitive 10th scale racing car. It was obviously pretty quick. It had a milled chassis. It had a lot of race-inspired suspension features. And this was, I would say, better than the Hpi Rs4 of the time. Obviously, this had a 2-speed. This had a good, size engine. But they just, Yokomo didn't really survive that far. Hpi beat them. Until they got sued. Some ads, black and white. And there it is, guys. We're winding towards the end of this magazine. America's Hobby Center. This is the store I talked about previously. I used to go here. That was in Manhattan. I love this store. Yeah, so right here, between 6th and 7th Avenue, 146 West 22nd Street. They used to give you a half a quart of free fuel whenever you used to buy anything. That's why I used to love going there. Every purchase you made, you had like a pint of nitro fuel. Pretty cool stuff. Let's see what else we got in the back. Nothing. There's no horses here in the back like in that song. Sometimes people keep horses in the back. Well, here they keep ads for foam wheels. Yep, Jayco foam tires. I actually have some of these. I might be using them for some speed runs on my Jado. But there it is, guys. Thanks so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed the nitro education. And I know I said I was going to talk a lot more about this engine, but yeah, there's still some learning I have to do myself. I just wanted to show you a 20-year-old vintage nitro engine. And just because it's Megatech, I love it, Drive washer technology is pretty cool. I know many of you guys probably don't even know what this was for. I also didn't know before I was making this video. There it is, Nitro Gang. Thanks so much for watching. Please comment, like, subscribe. If you like this kind of stuff, the Nitro Gang is going to keep Nitro alive no matter what it takes. So we got to get educated first and make sure we appreciate and understand where this hobbyist came from and where it's going to go later.